Reading are England's seventh oldest club and at risk of going into administration. Last weekend, their match against Port Vale was abandoned due to pitch invasions. With the growing number of clubs getting into financial difficulties, we're going to look at how this impacts Reading. Firstly, though, it is important to realise the importance of football to the average fan. With a lot of these clubs at risk being a part of the community, it is crucial to see them around for the sake of the fans. Football brings people together and gives local people and people worldwide something to look forward to at the weekend. We use that context to understand what happened at Reading versus Port Vale. It solves the question of why somebody would purposefully ruin a football match. The football club as a whole needs to be saved. With an alleged takeover on the card since the beginning of the season, it still hasn't been resolved, with only one of the 5 apparent bids made in December being deemed worthy enough by Dave Young. Sources close to Young say that he is prepared to fund the club up to the point of sale. However, what good is that when just a month ago the fans were setting up GoFundMes for the playing staff so they can have a Christmas party? Young was also fined for not paying wages, and the CEO is counting on the club being saved by administration because of their reputation, whatever that means. Because he failed to pay the wages, Young was recommended to be banned from all footballing operations within England for 12 months, with another fine due if he doesn't make the wage payments again in January this month. Not only that, but if he fails to deposit more than the operating cost, then he will also get fined, with the thought of him getting banned not necessarily meaning that people get paid, and probably meaning that he won't run the club anymore. It is worth noting that for once the EFL isn't going after the club, as they realise the importance of attacking the owner and not the club, because it is just going to give Young what he wants, and that being the club going into administration. We've mentioned a lot now about Dai Yong. It is equally important to see where he is in real life. As a Chinese businessman, he made the majority of his money by exploiting a loophole in shopping malls being built underground. He became involved in football when his sister wanted to buy a club after watching Chinese centre-back Chen Jihai play for Manchester City. Having brought Shanxi Barong Chamber Football Club in 2007, Dai moved it to Guizhou in 2012 and Beijing in 2016, where it stayed until 2021, where it lapsed during the COVID pandemic due to a lack of funds. The same was had at KSV Roeselare, where they used the training facilities to train up young Chinese players. Eventually, despite the money being pumped in, the results failed, and in 2020 the football club folded once again due to financial difficulties. With troubles with HMRC this year, it is very funny to note though that Dai Yong does have a £45 million property located next to Buckingham Palace. It is easier said than done to say that Reading needs to be sold, with an owner who seems hell-bent on keeping the club so he can eventually own the land that the club owns without too much hassle and judgment. With that in mind, it doesn't seem too straightforward that it will be sold at all, with Young seemingly willing to let the club be sold. If they can be sold though, the financial strain that Young has put onto the club will take some time to be resolved. But the positives are that they do have a really good youth setup. and that could allow them to sell some players and generate a profit to balance the books. In fact, they just sold off Tom Holmes, their promising centre-back, who Luton then returned to Reading on loan until the end of the season. The attraction of new players to Reading could prove some difficulty, especially under the current situation. It could be argued that under new owners, new players would be willing to come into Reading again, because they then know that they will be getting paid on time. Just the ones that Reading might be able to get might not be the ones to deliver them success that they need to get back up into the Championship and eventually the Premier League, because simply put, they can't really afford any transfer fees, and this financial misconduct from Young keeps on going. It's hard to imagine that they're not going to have some sort of transfer embargo placed on them. It is hard to see Reading getting put under all this stress financially, and through the EFL, the government are now involved, and the fans demanding to be sold. Because of all that, it's hard to see them surviving in League One this season, probably getting relegated, which means De Jong will not receive as much money for his assets if he does sell, and making it increasingly unlikely that in a year or two time we might not see Reading, and yet again another club disappears completely. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and like for more videos like this. If you haven't already, go check out our most recent video. I'll see you later.